Ian Nimmo, Paul McNeish and Dan Whitehead on the front line, ready for the gun. And off they go. They're going to have to go hard for the next 55 minutes. Then the bell goes and they'll have one lap to give it. Push it all the way to the line.
Go on, Duggan!
Hello and a very warm welcome to the Adventure Show. This month we're in the shadow of Glengorm Castle in Mull for the final race in the Scottish Cyclocross Series. In just an hour we'll know who's been crowned Scottish Champion 2008.
Not sure what cyclocross is all about? Well, it's a bit of a mix of everything. Riders use lightweight bikes that are like road bikes, but with tyres that are more like mountain bikes. And the terrain's really mixed as well, so everything from tarmac to deep mud and steep grassy slopes. And it's not all about pedal power. The riders can dismount and carry their bikes over obstacles that they can't otherwise cycle.
That's a good bit. You get to go the crap off your bike.
And if you're still confused, join me later where I'll be showing Dougie how it's done.
It's only for an hour, but don't believe anybody when you say it's just an hour because it's a hard hour. I think it originally started in France, was just with professionals taking over in the winter, and then it moved out to Belgium, and it's a huge sport in Belgium. It's the second largest sport, I think, to football over there. They have frit vans and everything. You have to pay to get in to watch the cyclocross.
And this is also the month where I'm made to suffer, both on skis,
Hey!
on the bike, and on foot.
Look at these conditions. This is wild! Ugh. I'm supposed to be walking for 200 metres. Somewhere over there, I think.
And while Dougie's battling with the elements in the Cairngorms, I've got the perfect winter's day here in the Monadhliath. I'm going to go and enjoy the snow on the Cinderella of Scotland's Munros. And I'm going to climb the hill wearing these. And despite having the finest snow conditions we've seen for years and years and years, if you want to buy a pair of snowshoes, the nearest shop is probably Chamonix.
But first to the cyclocross here in Mull. This is a great spectator sport. Riders race each other around a short course, it's only 1 or 2 miles long, non-stop for a whole hour. So there's plenty of opportunity to see them as they battle it out on the track. The winner is the person who completes the most amount of laps, but if there's a tie, whoever crosses the finish line first.
It's just my first year doing it. I just think it's brilliant socially. It's really
informal,
relaxed.
it's fun.
Yeah, it's a lot better than going to a triathlon or a mountain bike
training.
race.
Because it's only an hour, any mistake you get punished for quite sorely, so you've got to sort of try and get things right. Like a slip up and all of a sudden like 3 or 4 people are past you and you've got a lot to do.
This is the second day of a weekend of events here at Glengorm Castle on Mull. Today's race starts at the Castle Cafe, but that's the only creature comfort around here. The course then doubles back around the castle itself, where the bikers have to dismount and jump over a set of hurdles. After that, they're back on their bikes again and into the woods. From there, it's a mixture of narrow, muddy tracks and forest roads, which twist through the trees before a final descent back to the start. And that's just one lap. You've then got to do it all again, and again, and again, fitting in as many rounds as possible in an hour of intensely competitive racing.
Because you start in a bunch, you spread out, you always race against somebody. There's always somebody with the same speed as you, and you're like, I'm going to take him, and you kind of keep going at it, you know. And especially over the series, you can, I beat him this week, great. And you sort of look at the next guy in the standings, I'm after him.
If someone was to come off and got a mechanical, is there a camaraderie that somebody will stop and help, or are you on your own?
You're on your own.
That's what I thought.
With over 50 riders today, there'll be plenty of competition, especially as it's the final race in the Scottish Series. Ian Nimmo from Stirling is currently in the lead by an impressive 24 points, but he wasn't always so speedy. His first cyclocross experience was not a total success.
12 years ago, I think it was, aye. The man that won yesterday actually lapped me, so swore that would never happen again, but I thought it was going to happen yesterday actually. It was scary.
What is it about cyclocross that keeps bringing you back?
I don't know, I think I'm just daft, like. Nah, it's a great sport, like. It's something to do in the winter, really, after a long cross-country season, you know, just keep yourself fit. You don't have to do too many miles for it. It's just an hour, all-out effort, you know.
Okay, all the best, and don't puff yourself out there.
Yeah, I think that's enough, eh?
Ian's the favourite to win the 2008 Scottish Cyclocross Championship, but there's still all to race for today. Dan Whitehead, the man who lapped Ian all those years ago, is also on form.
It's got everything in it, running, steep downhills, a lot of mud. It's just good for your technical handling, sort of like on the bike, and just good fun.
Have you got any specific tactics you use when you're racing?
Well, yesterday's race was, you could just go from the gun and you could develop a gap just instantly, and just the nature of the course, because there was a lot of technical, tricky sort of like riding throughout routes and stuff and all that, you could, if you got a gap, it was very easy to maintain it. But today, it's harder to get a larger gap on any sort of like riders, so a group of riders can work well to pull back a rider that's, say, away in the lead. So you've maybe got to start off a bit more gradual and just wait for people to make mistakes, and then you take your chance then, you know.
Another top rider tackling this course today in Mull is Paul McNeish. He's now the only person who could threaten Ian Nimmo for that overall title. It's a long shot though. Ian would need to have a disastrous ride, and Paul would have to win this race, and that means beating Dan Whitehead.
Dan's combat. I mean, I've beat him in a few rounds this year by quite a bit, and that surprised me. Yesterday really surprised me. I thought, right, I'll keep an eye on him, I'll keep an eye on Ian and see what happens. And the gap kept getting bigger and bigger. I thought, Dan's on a storm on it, he must be flying. So I'll see how he is today. I saw him in the pub last night having a couple of Guinness, so it's his birthday today. So happy birthday, Dan. So maybe he's not quite as on it today.
For the fastest riders, each circuit takes around 6 minutes, and that means that within the hour they could complete 10 or more laps. Out on the track, the lead riders are just starting their second lap.
So after the end of the first lap, Ian Nimmo looking pretty strong. Dan Whitehead just sitting in behind them quite comfortably. And that is really interesting. No sign of Paul McNeish. That's very interesting indeed. And here he is, here he comes through now. He's fallen back a little into 5th place. We're expecting more from him, but there's a lot of riding still to do. But Ian Nimmo and Dan Whitehead, so strong. Older guys in the race, but still very, very competitive. And already mud splattered, one and all.
This is high intensity riding, where one small slip can mean you're overtaken. By the time the lead group reach the hurdles, Dan Whitehead sees the lead. Desiree's watching the battle for first place.
He's just absolutely flying over these hurdles. It's incredible to watch him dismount. There's just no loss of momentum there at all. We've got some really fast bikers here. And I think we've got our first female lead racer coming down at the moment, which is Anya MacDonald. She leads the Women's Championships and she's well out in front.
This is only Anya MacDonald's second year competing in cyclocross, but what an amazing season she's had. So far, Anya's won every single race in the series. Even so, she's still not sure about her chances today.
It looks like it's going to be quite a different race today, so I'm just hoping to hang in there, really, I think.
What is it about cyclocross that you like so much?
Well, it's the camaraderie, I think. I'm from New Zealand and it doesn't really exist there, and to be honest, I'd heard of cyclocross before, but I'd sort of poo-pooed it, thinking it was just some ridiculous type of race on a really inappropriate bikes, and it just looked bizarre, but it's so much fun.
Anya's closest rival for the series title is 19-year-old Eileen Rowe. Like Anya, Eileen's a recent convert to cyclocross, yet she's already achieved an impressive 12th place in the European Championships. So how does she expect to get on today?
Well, I did come here with expectations to maybe give an Anya a wee bit of a tussle, because last week I did, but I've not been feeling well this week. I've not been on my bike this week leading up to here, but I really don't want to make excuses for myself because that just makes me sound like a pansy. So today I just want to go around, batter myself, maybe fall in the mud a couple of times and enjoy some hot chocolate at the cafe at the end.
Why do you do it? What is that about this? What is that about the sport?
I don't know, you'd have to be mad, first of all, if you're not scared of falling off and being in the mud, and that's your only way to cyclocross.
And 15 minutes into the race, there's still a tremendous amount of pedalling and sheer hard graft ahead. Cyclocross isn't the only sport that's bigger in Europe than mainland Scotland. Another is the Olympic discipline of biathlon, cross-country skiing and shooting. But that's changing. In the Highlands, there's one of only two non-army clubs, the Cairngorm Biathlon and Nordic Ski Club. They have their home at Glenmore Lodge, Scotland's national outdoor training centre. These young people are taking up a sport that originated in Norway and is now almost 150 years old. But what makes the local youngsters so enthusiastic about it?
It's not like any other sport, it's different.
It's a very good sport for keeping yourself fit, and it's adventurous, so you can go to other countries.
It's such an adrenaline rush from the speed and everything, and you get so fit out of doing it.
Training these youngsters today is Mike Dixon. A former Olympian, he has no illusions about the complexity of this sport.
With cross-country skiing, it's so physically demanding, so all the major muscle groups are used. So the kids are going to be skiing around the 300-metre loop twice, so 600 metres, definitely getting out of breath. Their heartbeat is going to be about 20 below maximum. And then coming in and trying to control the transfer from that very hard physical to the tranquil calmness of shooting.
So there's two, 3, 4, 5, 6. So
one of them's mine.
That's your group, Fiona. That's Marsha's group. Obviously, one of your shots are in there. Marsha, I'm going to take your sights up 7 and left 3. Okay.
Take me back onto my group.
Fiona, we're going to take you up
and back
15 and right 5. Okay.
The session today, it's really trying to get the kids more aware of the positional training. So coming down onto the shooting mat, just to focus on themselves. So to begin with, we'll go through dry drills, as it's called, rifle on, rifle off, into position, just to get the awareness of the position training and repeat that many times. And then we're going to take that to the physical level, where they're going to be skiing around together. And again, there's a sense of pressure there of like racing each other. Then they're coming in to hit the targets again.
There's a lot of pressure when you have loads of people coming in either side of you when you're trying to stay stable and shoot. So it's quite hard to keep that focused.
When you come in, once you've done your lap, you're quite tired, and then you have to go and pick up a really heavy gun to shoot, and it's knackering you.
Obviously your heart's beating so fast, but it's hard to keep the rifle level, and that's where the challenge comes mainly.
You have to be able to control your breathing from pushing very hard, which is one of the hardest things about biathlon. So when you line up to take your shot, you hold your breath when you're out, completely out of breath, and then take your 5 shots. And by that time, you're completely out of breath. You need to keep gasping, then you have to start all over again and go round and round, which is very hard.
I was very lucky. I found the sport by accident. I didn't know the sport existed. And then I got a chance to take part in it while I was in the army. And I went on to compete in 1 Olympics in cross-country skiing, and then 5 Olympics in biathlon. And it's quite strange. I got close to medals at the Olympics a number of times. We race 120 athletes at the Olympics. And many coaches said to me over my career, they said, if you'd only started younger. And I've always been convinced that kids in Britain can compete with the best on cross-country skis.
I don't tend to look too much into the future. So right now, I'm only really looking until next week when I go to Austria.
I'm first in my age group, but there's not many girls in my age group.
I'd like to take it as far as I can, really, because I think it's such a great sport and I love doing it.
If I carried on doing well, I would love to go into the Olympics and start racing properly competitive in other countries. But it depends how well I do at this sort of stage.
I see these kids as having so much more potential than I had. But it's down to them. They need to want to take it further. And they have, a number of them have been to the British Championships and international races, so they're getting a feel for it. So I honestly believe that if any one of the group really want to make it to the Olympics, but they have to want to do it, they could even take it to that standard. I absolutely believe it.
This winter, we've already had some of the best snow in years, so what better time to leave the pistes and start ski mountaineering. Martin Burrows-Smith has been called the father of Scottish extreme skiing. His trademark is epic descents down steep mountain gullies, some of which have never been repeated. So who better to teach me? And where better than the Swiss Alps, where Martin now spends much of his year.
Where we are today, we've got a perfect first tour for you, and obviously we brought all the kit along. First of all, your skis. Good skis, pretty meaty ones. You can tour on anything. But the crucial thing about these, as far as you're concerned, is going to be the fact that they've got a lifting binding. So just by doing that, we've got an ability to do that, because you can't walk around on downhill skis. Now clearly, the ski, if you point it up the hill, it's going to grip too well. That's probably what you'd better ask.
Yes.
And so we actually stick some skins on the base of the skis. They'll be smooth in one direction, the direction of travel, but grip in the other. And they work pretty well.
No, I'm putting on the right way around, yeah.
Yep. It'd be embarrassing, wouldn't it?
Yeah. One leg going one way, one leg going the other.
Also here, we've got other bits of gear which are crucial for ski touring.
Now, this is an avalanche transceiver, yeah?
It's an avalanche transceiver, that's right. Here's my machine. And if I turn this one on, and I'm going to have it on receive. There we are.
So it gets louder as it gets closer, so.
That's right, it gets louder as it gets closer. And crucially, of course, each person really should have a shovel and also a probe. Because the whole point about searching for someone who's buried in an avalanche is, okay, you can find out where they are, they're down there somewhere, but how do you get them out? So initially you need the probe to find out where you need to dig.
Okay.
Okay, where we go?
I've seen people do this in the past and thought, blimey, why not take the lift? But then, of course, the whole point is you're getting away from the lift, you're getting away from people.
Absolutely. And you know, the very first time I put touring skis on, I just thought, there's a future here.
This is it, yeah.
I just thought, well, what a way to travel. Okay, Dougie, right, we've got to change direction here. Now, it's not that steep. So, at the end of the day, we can just come round in like a star wedge like this.
Yep.
Into our new trail, and away we go. But as it gets steeper, you know, that's not going to work because the snow's actually in your face. With a kick turn, we've got to flick this ski up in the air. I've got to bring this round, so I've got to bring it right round, ideally, so that the boots are very close together. Get the sticks out the way, but have them here for support. Stand up high, all right?
Yep.
Don't bend forward, and then we can flick and twist. Can you see what I'm doing with this? Flick
Almost
and twist.
flicking the back
so
of it, yeah.
what I don't want to happen is this. That gets stuck. If you can imagine, the snow was a lot steeper.
Yep.
Sometimes I can just bring it in here, stand up high, and slide it through.
Yep.
It's probably enough talk from me. Let's have
a go.
All your weight's on this one.
It is.
Lift the tip up. Right, now let it pivot round and get that stick out the way as it comes round. That's pretty good. Try and shuffle it back maybe just a little bit. That is perfect, absolutely perfect. Now all your weight on that ski, that's your right, and stand up high.
And go.
Flick into that's a very good first effort.
Often, you know, people might think, well, I'm going to go off piste and have a wee go myself as long as I've got all this stuff with me, but it's not, surely it's about that, because you're getting into potentially hostile territory.
That's absolutely right. We are very concerned with avalanches, snow quality and so on. We've got that very much in mind today. It's been very, very warm recently, and in fact south and east facing slopes just now, come midday this afternoon, they're going to be lethal. But we're going to be skiing in some of these, hopefully these north-facing bowls where...
In shade.
In the shade.
Yeah.
And even though it's been warm and there's been no snow for some time, I think we should have something almost akin to powder. We'll keep fingers crossed, I think. Yes, just go straight on there, and we'll take the skis off here.
Okay.
A steepish slope like this, doing work like this, you've got to just be a little bit clever about not letting anything tumble down the way.
Absolutely wonderful so far, having a great time. Genuinely, I thought it would be a real grunt to try and get up this high. The steep ground just gets eaten up by this fantastic, ancient way of getting around the mountains. That's the great thing about it. And the summit is no longer just over the next hill, it's actually here.
Fantastic, well done.
Wow. Wow, 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 oh wow, blimey.
So, well done Dougie for your first ski tour. We've got the summit. We've actually got to go down as well, but let's enjoy the moment.
Oh yeah.
Isn't it beautiful?
It's absolutely glorious.
Yeah.
Right, techniques for skiing in powder. Is this a good time to ask? Or we'll ask at the bottom.
Just try and stand over the middle of your skis and let them do the work.
I don't want to swear, but it's steep. Suddenly my heart is racing more than when I was walking up the steep stuff. Oh, goodness gracious. I think it's just because, you know, this is my first experience of powder snow. First experience, I've been miles away from any mechanisation. And the first time I've been in anything as steep as this, and the first time I've skied with a pack as big as this.
You've got the sack as well, so there's lots of minuses there, isn't there?
Yeah. Let's go. Oh, blimey O'Reilly. Hey, it's lovely.
That was all right.
Ah, blimey O'Reilly, let's go. Let's go and ski. Come on, ski this thing.
That's good, hang in there. Very good.
Oh, thank goodness. Oh. One turn and I feel like in Franz Klammer. Right, come on, ski. Remember how to do that? Remember when you were 14 at Glenshee?
Try and attack the turn. Really go for it. Good. Keep over the skis. Well done. Try another one. Excellent.
Hey!
That was 3 turns.
That's called a face plant. Ah, jeez.
Would you like me to go first?
Yeah, could you?
Just so you can see the line.
Getting his traverse track.
So, come up high here.
Yeah.
Round we come. That's lovely. Well done. Better turn than mine. And another one. High and round. Fine, keep your weight right over the middle of the ski. That's good, Dougie.
Leaning back, yeah. Everything's wrong.
Get right over them.
Yep. Come on.
Up high, round we come.
Come on,
Hang, you're hanging in well. Well done.
Ski the thing, Douglas.
Really high, round we come. Get your weight right over the middle of the ski.
And if you want to leave the piste behind, don't forget it's important to do so with a qualified instructor. Now back to those mud-splattered bikers battling round the course at the castle here in Mull in the final event in the 2008 Cyclocross Series. This is a tough course, so what makes it so demanding?
Yesterday's course split the field up, whereas I think today, because there's a road climb in it, so that'll allow riders to come together, so there'll be more group working together in the race.
It seems that if you get stuck behind somebody on a specific section, it's going to be really difficult to get past them.
Aye, it is, but yeah, you have ways of doing it quickly.
Like what?
Well, you do, when you are lapping a rider, you do shout sort of like behind on your left or on your right.
On your left! Go Don!
They don't really get out of the way too much, but you learn to go through a very small gap.
Okay.
With the least.
Without knocking people off their bikes,
Hopefully, yeah.
obviously. Is that, do you get penalised if you knock someone off their bike?
I haven't been yet, no.
You haven't tried to yet?
This is the second day of racing, and yesterday Dan Whitehead's nearest rival was Hamish Creeber, a young biker whose speciality is cross-country cycling rather than cyclocross. Last year, he won the 2008 British Cross-Country Championships, but today he's got his eye on one of the top places in this race.
Cyclocross is a really friendly type of racing, and just everybody knows each other, so although it's competitive, it's still social and everybody doesn't take it too seriously, so it's nice to do and keep you fit in the off-season.
Was it fairly typical of the courses that you're used to racing?
This course is quite unusual, this course, just because of the location. It's quite remote, but it's quite fast. It's always got quite a lot of muddy sections as well. It's one of my favourite courses. Quite technical and usually muddy, and I quite like that aspect of the racing.
So Dan Whitehead's now coming round onto his third lap, and he's just piling past all the racers that are still on their second lap. He's still absolutely flying. He's just moving so fast. Come on, Dan! And again, just running over those hurdles as if they're not even there. The lead racers catching up with the folks at the back who are on their second lap. The lead racers are now overtaking on the third lap.
One of the riders who would normally be amongst the leaders is Andy Wardman. Before today's race, he was placed third in the series and is one of the fastest riders on the circuit. Today, illness has forced him to sit out this race.
The course today is quite muddy, it's quite challenging. Any little mistake, it can suddenly be a big gap, and that's what makes it so exciting when you're actually racing. It's so close, the gaps can open up and close. It can be quite tactical as well. You can sit in behind another rider and save some energy. They make a mistake, then you can attack as hard as you can to try and get a gap. Once you've got a gap, it can then be really hard for them to close you back down. So it's really tactical, really close racing, and just really fun racing here. And the little knobbly tyres can often feel quite sketchy to ride. You're just about on the edge of control and not much more, It's all those things that make cyclocross for me the kind of most fun on a bike. So I'm gutted that the season's nearly over.
Dan Whitehead looking so strong. But here's the man who's on his tail. Ian has fallen away. Number 35 is on his tail and looking very, very strong indeed. That's it. Hamish Creeber. There's Ian Nimmo, and on his tail, number 5, that's Stephen McInnes from the Mull Club. Dan Whitehead powering up the hill there. The Hamish Creeber, just a young guy, so powerful on the uphill section, just screaming through there. He can handle a bike on the muddy and the rocky stuff, no bother at all, but he certainly can handle a bike on the uphill too. Really digging in, a lot of these riders. It's just such a grueling course here on Mull. Eileen Rose said before this, don't let Andy tell you it's just an hour, because it's an hour of purgatory. Really hard work. And here is our leading lady. It's Anya MacDonald, 27 years old, New Zealand. Father is from Glasgow, emigrated, and she's back in Glasgow now. Bought a cyclocross bike last year to get fit and travel around Glasgow, and she certainly is able to use it. Spends a lot of time mountain biking, doing cross country, but she's pretty handy on the cyclocross bike as well.
I think it's quite good fun, but definitely sometimes you can scale yourself against the speed of another person, and it's not really a good way to train, but it's nice if you achieve that day, that's for sure.
The fact that during any race you're all racing together, there's the men, the women and the youth are all racing together, so there will be, I imagine there'll be times when you're fairly bunched up. Does it get a bit, do the elbows start flying?
Yeah, I've had a couple of moments, a little bit of aggression on the track, but nothing untoward. It's all good fun, and people jest about it mostly, so yeah, it's all right.
And the fact that you're racing against guys as well, is it good to kind of watch as you go past them, get eating your mud, as it were?
Yeah, it's quite satisfying actually. Yeah, it's quite good.
guys are all doing pretty good times. And Eileen Rowe is coming down here now, out of the saddle, using the legs as the shock absorbers. She's looking blown a bit, I have to say. She's not been feeling well all week, but she's probably about 50 seconds behind Anya MacDonald. That's the ladies' race there. That's the first two. Of course, in the British Championships and the European Championships, the ladies race for 40 minutes. Here in the Scottish Series, they race alongside the men for a full 55 minutes until the bell. So it's a tougher challenge. And if you've been training all year for doing 40 minutes, that extra 20 minutes at the end or so is pretty difficult. This is a pretty good part of the course for everyone. They get a wee bit of a breather here. There's a little downhill section, but they know as soon as they turn that corner, it's all grunting for about 45 minutes. Davey, just going through there, number 8, the organiser of this race.
Hi Davey, how's the race going?
Fantastic! £2, look. The pound prizes, yes! I'll get him.
There's Dan Whitehead again. My goodness, look at the speed of this guy. He's just so fast compared to the rest of the field. As they come through again, it's quite astonishing. But here's the second man in the race who is looking pretty impressive as well. From the Sandy Wallace Club, it's number 35, Hamish Creebert. Now, this is incredible. Such a young guy, Hamish, but he is such a powerful, powerful rider. Some of the back markers coming through. But Ian Nimmo is in third place. There's a battle there, a battle royal. Stephen McInnes and Ian Nimmo have really been battling together. I wonder if there's similar techniques to that on the road where you work off each other, but I'm not so sure. So it doesn't seem to be a necessary evil for Dan Whitehead. He's out on his own, he's powering away.
It's really incredible just how fast these guys are still moving, because they must be getting really tired. And there's no sign of anything slowing down yet.
One of the great things about this competition is you get really close to the competitors. You can almost smell them as they go past. But earlier on, I got a taste of what it's all about, and I challenged Desiree to a couple of laps of the course here at Mull. For her, I don't know, she seemed to think it was important to win. For me, it was all about taking part. Okay, so it didn't go well, as far as I'm concerned. Here's what happened. So this is my bike, and this here is Desiree's bike. But what can I do to make her bike less competitive? Play with the brakes, perhaps? No brakes, no rear brakes. She'll be fine with that. She'll be absolutely fine. Who needs a brake? No, I can't do that. But I could have. Well, I better get myself ready. Not looking forward to this. Right, may the best girl win. Let's go.
Contenders ready?
Not really.
Do I get to go now?
She's cheating.
See you later.
I swear there. That's cheating.
Hey, what a gentleman.
Goodness gracious. I thought you were away there.
Oh, I thought I was getting to do a whole lap first. How do these gears work? Oh my goodness.
I was going to say after you, Des, I am chivalrous to the end.
Haven't quite got the hang of these brakes yet.
I've not used my brakes yet. I'm on the wrong shoulder.
I'm not even on a shoulder.
There you go.
Oh, I'm exhausted already.
And as we head through the trees, it's still neck and neck and really hard going. You feel you're pedalling like crazy, but not really getting anywhere. Frustrating?
How are you getting on, Dougie?
Marvellous.
I keep crashing into the bushes.
Some grit in the tires would be nice.
But by now, Desiree's building up a commanding lead.
Keep going.
Things are not looking good for me.
Is that it? I think Dougie's lost in the rhododendron bushes somewhere. Haven't seen him for ages. I just heard him puffing and panting behind me. Here he comes. Come on, Dougie, second place!
You take a shortcut.
Oh,
Well done.
Well done.
But that's evil. It's not like a race, it is like abuse of man and machine, isn't it?
It is eating mud, isn't it, literally?
So, battered, bruised, and yes, defeated. It's now back to see how the experts do it.
And what has happened to Annie McDonald? Well, here she comes. Again, over the top. Here in the ladies' race. She's dropped back a little, but she's still keeping her advantage. Still grind the teeth, coming up. She knows at this point on, there's a climb pretty much continuously for the next 5 or 6 minutes, and it's pretty painful. There's Eileen Rowe. Eileen Rowe in the shocking pink. Keep it going, Eileen, keep it going. She's quite a bit behind Annie McDonald though, but she's quite a bit ahead of the third place rider in the women's race. Such a brutal sport. Starts to take out your body, it takes out your bike as well. And Dan Whitehead through for another lap. Quite astonishing. Just lapping the third place rider in the ladies' race. As she goes through now, it's Mary Todd, 35 years old. Her mother, she took part in the Three Peaks Cyclocross in 1997 in back of running training and broke the record, but she hasn't done much cyclocross since. But races out of the Strathpuffer Square Wheels Club, doing pretty well, but Dan Whitehead has just lapped her. It must be pretty hard to take, but she's still third place in the ladies' race.
Oh, the first one I was like about 6th or something. I didn't do very well in the first one. And then I thought, oh, I better start riding a cross bike and getting the hang of this. So we've got better a wee bit as it's gone on.
Okay. So why do you do this? What is it about it that you like?
Oh, it's really fun. That you should have a go. Really good bikes.
Well, I had a little bit of a go earlier
Actually,
on.
I saw you and you were going quite fast. So you should probably have been racing.
There's no way I would have caught up with any of you guys
I
today.
don't know. It's just fun. I think it's more fun than mountain biking, and road riding at this time of year can be a bit grim when it's freezing, so it's quite good to have a cross bike, and it makes it quite fun to go out and keep fit through the winter.
We'll be back with the action here in Mull shortly, but first I'm heading on to the mainland for another chance to test out my abilities in the hills. When the snow's lying deeply, there's nowhere more tempting than the Scottish mountains, but being safe in them requires a range of skills, and being able to navigate is a key one. So with the wind rising and the mist down, I joined climber and mountain instructor Paul Tattersall in the Cairngorms to learn how the experts do it, and how I should do it.
The snow hides features, changes things, and we're starting to lose visibility as the wind's picking the snow up, so everything's different in winter.
So let's have a look where we're heading then, if I can stand up.
In terms of your map reading, the art to navigation is just don't get lost. In a way, probably the most important technique of navigation is interpreting these contours. Look at them really closely, and as you look at the ridge, you should see steepenings where the contours get tighter. And then wee flattenings where the contours open.
Yep.
Snow's going to hide a lot of features. You won't find stream beds.
Yeah.
They're just covered in snow. You won't find even lock-ins. You know, that could be just snow.
Oops, a daisy.
When the visibility goes, it's about going from point A to point B in a straight line, following your bearing.
This is wild! Every time you look up, my goodness, it's like somebody throwing gravel in your eyes.
Let's just do a few short legs for you to practice your navigation. So the first thing to be able to do is take the bearing.
Yeah.
And take the bearing accurately.
Yeah.
Get that lined up. So you've set your bearing. You're going to walk on a bearing of 35 degrees. Okay? What you need to know now is how far am I going to walk? Look along the line of travel.
Yep.
Yeah? And measure it. So you're travelling 200 metres on a bearing of 35 degrees.
Yep.
So after 65 or 70 paces, you've gone 100 metres.
I've got a feeling I could get it wrong. I mean, look at these conditions. Not a lot to see, maybe 20, 25 yards visibility. I'm supposed to be walking for 200 metres. Somewhere over there, I think. Good luck.
I'll stay behind you a wee bit.
Okay. Right, I'm going to go around this. Point 2. Oh, man!
Off he goes, never to be seen again.
You know what I haven't done, Paul? Count my steps. This terrain's delicious for walking on. Not.
He's doing very well. I think he's enjoying it. I mean, he's being blown around and we're in a horrible boulder field here. So pacing is really difficult. He's drifted on his bearing to the right. He's not following his bearing at all. Goodness only knows where he's going. We better go and catch him up. If it was full winter whiteout conditions, you wouldn't see that.
No, exactly. Goes to show you, in just 200 metres, I'm 20 yards off. That's 10% off
easily.
either side.
You can be, yeah.
And if you're going for a couple of miles, you can get yourself in a terrible mess.
Well, in winter, you would never choose legs that long.
Sure.
So it does work, though.
It does, certainly works.
And that was pretty horrible to pace through.
Yeah. So lots of practice required on the navigational front. Pretty important to do. The hills in the winter can be a very serious place, but there's lots of fun you can have as well. Oh, marvellous.
But winter's not always like this. Just across the other side of the A9, Cameron McNeish has picked a perfect day for his monthly adventure show walk.
The Monadhliath Mountains have always suffered a kind of bad press. Generations of guidebook writers have described them as dull and uninspiring, but I have to confess, I rather like the Monadhliath. I love the vast sprawling acreage of this mountain range. I love the fact that the skies are wide and open. I love the fact that you see very few people in these hills. And I'll tell you, if you want to see wildlife, this is the place to come, not the Cairngorms where there are usually many, many more people. If you think of the Monadhliath as almost like the back of your hand, there are 4 Munros in the Monadhliath, and they all sit at the top of long fingers of ridges that drop down, 3 of them dropping down into this glen I'm in at the moment, Glen Bannacha near Newton Moor. And today I'm going to climb one of those long fingers, one of those ridges to the mountain at the top. It's a Munro called a Cairngorm. That means the old woman, or to be really sexist, the old hag. Back in the 80s, I worked for an outdoor centre down in Newton Moor here. I used to bring people up the glen here and I had no idea of the existence of this bridge. I used to make people paddle across the stream up there. And I remember one day getting to the other side and somebody tapped me in the shoulder and said, "Why didn't we cross the bridge?" And it's because I didn't know there was one. I tell you, I was very embarrassed. That's the hill behind us, that's our summit, a Cairngorm at 942 metres. And you know, it's a curious thing, if you see a modern guidebook to the mountains of Scotland, if it says Ambodach. It's usually got in brackets after it the old man, because that's what it means. But if you see the word Acariach, it usually says in brackets the old woman or the old witch or the old hag, which I think suggests that all the guidebook writers are probably blokes. Welcome to the Red Bothy. It's called the Red Bothy, I think, because the roof's kind of rusty, but I think it's probably an old shepherd's hut, and it's certainly been here for a long, long time. The walls and the ceiling here are all covered in people's signatures and dates when they were here, and there's one over there of someone who was here in 1921, a couple more 1926, a few in the 40s, and a couple of names that I recognise too. My old mate Hamish Brown, who was the first man to climb all the Munros in one continuous expedition. He was here with the Braes of Fife Mountaineering Club in 1962. And just above there is my old mate, our own Chris Townsend, who was here in 1981. And Chris, I'm surprised at you leaving graffiti in a place like this. So lots of names. It really is a living archive of hill walkers past and present. And it's also something of a memorial, because I recognise one or two names of people who are no longer with us. So it really is, it's quite an interesting place to come. And of course, the best thing of all, gets you out of the cold weather for just a little while, where you can get a cup of tea before heading up the final summit slopes to Acariach. A few years ago, I went to the French Alps in winter and spent a week or 10 days or so mucking about in snowshoes. And I'll tell you, it was a complete revelation for me, completely changed my attitude towards winter. Up until then, I'd just getting a bit fed up ploughing through knee-deep snowdrifts in Scotland, and winter was beginning to lose its appeal. But you know, when you think of snowshoes, we shouldn't think of tying a pair of tennis rackets to our shoes, but snowshoes are really high-tech nowadays. And you'll notice underneath here there are a big claw at the toe and little spikes, which give you a certain amount of security when you're descending and ascending. So I'd really recommend snowshoeing to you with a great passion. Get yourself some snowshoes, get out there and enjoy winter again. Fantastic. Whoa. Oh. Woo! And you know, the name of this hill, Acariach, always reminds me of the spirit of Acariach Búr. That's the old witch who rides the crest of the storms and lures travellers to an icy death. I hope we don't bump into her today. Here we go, Acariach, 942 metres. Good. But you know, I like these old tales because they kind of remind us, they're a kind of metaphor for the conditions that we can face on the Scottish hills in winter. And today the main forces are the intense cold and a very strong wind, and they're both malevolent forces, but the malevolent forces that create intense beauty, and it's that beauty that attracts us to the hills. So we just have to be very, very careful that we're not unduly lured into the icy embrace of the Cairngorm Búr.
Hiya, how's it going?
Terrible. If I'm sick in a minute, don't look.
Welcome back to Mull. With about 10 minutes to go, the riders are starting their final few laps.
How long left?
You can use any kind of bike in this sport, but most cyclists opt for a specially designed one, which is a cross between a road bike and a mountain bike. So, what makes the perfect cyclocross machine?
These are the original mountain bikes. Cyclocross started to get done on road bikes, and then they started to get adapted with cantilever brakes, for more mud clearance, slightly relaxed angles. You've got the flat top tube, so when you shoulder the bike, it doesn't dig in. Carbon forks, carbon bars.
But can you do it on any bike? I mean,
you can do it on any bike. For the top races, you've got to do it on a cyclocross bike, and they banned disc brakes. At the start, if you'd fallen off, somebody could put a finger in or something. Because they also banned 4-spoke wheels. You've got to have 16 spokes and things like that. So.
Well, let's talk about how much money you can actually spend on a bike, because not saying how much you've spent, because your wife might be watching this, but how much money could you? I mean, I guess you could any kind of sport you can really fritter away the cash.
You can fritter away the cash, no bother. I mean, carbon bars, £200.
They're fancy, yeah.
Durace group set, £700.
The frame itself?
Frame itself, £800. But you can spend thousands.
The bike is effectively like a road bike, and so it's about the same weight as a road bike, and the tyres are just marginally thicker than your road bike tyres, whereas a mountain bike you'll have suspension, probably front and rear suspension, you've got big wide tyres. When you come to a big bumpy downhill, you can just sit back on your mountain bike and absorb all the bumps, whereas cyclocross, you're riding such a light bike with narrow tyres, it's very technical. And also cyclocross, you've got a lot of on and off your bike, and with the format of racing, you just gaining a second here, a second there, getting on and off your bike.
What would a bike like this cost?
It can vary. Some people are riding on bikes that are £3,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm not.
50 quid.
Which goes to show that technology can only do so much. In this sport, it's definitely a person's skill, strength and stamina that makes the difference.
People are starting to look really tired now. Dan Whitehead's just coming round again to the hurdles. He still seems to be moving just as fast as he was at the beginning. He's still just racing over those hurdles. He's well out in front at the moment, as he has been since the start of the race. Leading the women at the moment is Anya MacDonald, followed by Eileen Rowe. Anya's quite far in front of all the women at the moment. Come on, you're nearly there. Come on, Paul.
And with just over 6 minutes left, the battle is really on for third place. Paul McInally is now edged ahead of Ian Nimmo, and he's sitting in third place, but right on their heels is the local man, 36-year-old Stephen McInnes. But way out in the lead, Dan Whitehead's just over a minute ahead of Paul McInally. Since the second lap, Dan's position looks unassailable. But young Hamish Creeber's really picked up speed, now only half a minute behind. He's charging round this course and could be heading for that top spot. I'm not sure if Dan's yet aware of the threat behind him. And in the women's race, Scotland Cyclocross champion Anya MacDonald still way out ahead, but Mary Todd's having a fantastic race, and she's now threatening Eileen Rowe for that second place. Mary's really working so hard on those middle laps, and she's really closed the gap.
That's the 55 minutes have elapsed, and race time is in fact 55 minutes plus 1 lap. So when the race leader comes through the race control area, we will be ringing the bell for the final lap. Here goes Mary Todd.
Come on, Eileen, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going.
Go, go, go. Dan White is making the right turn behind the coffee shop as I speak. There goes the bell for the final lap. The final lap for Dan Whitehead.
We're just about at the end of the race here. There's just a couple of minutes to go, and it's amazing how fast these riders are still coming through this course. It's really incredible to see. Dan's just coming down the hill now. He's been flat out for 60 minutes. He's still absolutely flying. It's his last lap. Come on, Dan. Keep going, last lap.
And what a race this has been for Dan Whitehead. Right from the start, he stormed around the course. But Hamish Creeber still gaining ground. This will be a fight to the very end. Yes, it's Whitehead still in the lead on that final downhill section to the finish, with Hamish now seconds behind him. Another lap and it could have been Hamish Creeber taking the top spot.
Here comes Dan Whitehead, coming out here.
So it's Dan Whitehead over the line first, and what a race it's been.
You're absolutely flying over those hurdles. You look like you're moving just as fast as you had at the start.
Yeah.
It's a good race for you, eh?
Yeah, oh yeah, it was cracking, yeah, but he came, I think I had about 30 seconds on him and 2 laps to go, and just on the last lap, He just came right up to me.
Did you know you were out in front the whole time?
Yeah, I did.
You did.
His mum gave the game away in the last corner up there. She says, "Go on, Hamish," and I turned around and he was just there. I was like, "Oh no."
Me and Dan, we had a good race together. He sort of got quite a big gap at the start, but then he tied a bit towards the end and really caught him up. So another lap and I would have probably got him, but...
And I heard your mum let the cat out the bag by telling him that you were just behind.
Yeah, I think my mum told him that I was just behind, so he went a bit faster towards the end, so I couldn't catch him.
And here comes the local man, Stephen McInnes. Look at that! In these final laps, he's pushed into third place. A fantastic achievement, with Paul McInally now sitting in fourth and Ian Nimmo down to fifth.
So congratulations to you, a great ride.
Yeah, thanks very much. It was good. It's nice to have a race here in my home turf, so very good.
You were battling with Ian Nimmo for the early part of the race, and it was Paul McNally you were kind of up against, and you just looked very strong. I was finding it really tough, and then I just seemed to get a bit of strength from somewhere. I managed to pass Paul in the technical section, and that was good. That was good.
So here comes the first woman across the line. It's Anya MacDonald, who's led from the very start and now has won every single event in this Scottish series. What an achievement.
Anya, absolutely fantastic. You looked really strong there.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a good ride. I had fun. I don't think I was quite as strong as yesterday. I think because the conditions suited me a bit more yesterday. It's a bit more technical and sloggy and more mountain biking style yesterday, but today was good.
And a great series for you as well.
Yeah, that's a clean sweep. Yeah, first time I've ever done that before.
And coming in next, it's Mary Todd. An amazing race for her, snatching that second place from Eileen Rowe.
Mary, a good effort, second.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
It was looking pretty tight there because you had obviously had Eileen in your sights for a long time there, and you managed to get her.
Yeah, she was a lot better at all the technical bits at the top, and at one point I thought I was losing time every lap through there, and I thought, oh no, this isn't going too good, and then suddenly I could see her again, and I thought, oh, that's quite good. So
yeah, you seem to get stronger towards the end, particularly in the climbs.
yeah, I think everyone else had maybe slowed down. I don't think I was feeling stronger.
So third place, how was that for you?
Good. What was it, the second last lap she caught me. I seen her coming, she looks like she's a better climber than me. I'm not known for my climbing, I'm usually a sprinter, but I tried to dig and she jumped me on the hill. I think she knew I couldn't climb, so she just jumped and I was like, oh, I tried to go with that, my legs weren't there. You should have tried it.
Aye, that'll be true. I did 2 laps, that was enough for me.
2 laps.
Well, well done, that was superb. And confirmation of those results here at the Mull Cross at the Castle. For the men, Dan Whitehead took first place, just beating off Hamish Creeber, who came in seconds behind to take second place. Stephen McInnes came in third with Paul McNally fourth, and Ian Nimmo pushed into fifth. But this was still enough for Ian Nimmo to hold on to first place in the Scottish Cyclocross Series with a total of 300 points. Paul McNally moved up into second position with a total of 274, and Andy Wardman, despite missing this race, had enough points to take third place. And it was Anya MacDonald over the line first for the women, coming in first place overall, the unbeaten women's champion in every race in this series. Second place here in Mull was Marie Todd, who finished in fourth place in the overall series, and Eileen Rowe came in third here at Mull, taking second place in the 2008 Cyclocross Series. And that's it for this month's adventure show. Next month we are heading south of Edinburgh to the Pentland Hills, where Desiree will be joining competitors in the gruelling Carnethy 5 hill race. Rather her than me. Till then, goodbye.